We met in the gym. One night I was working on my fitness and just get my mental together, and God told me to go to the gym. And
Yeah, so I was in the gym. I usually worked out in the mornings during that time, but went to the gym in the evening because I decided that I wanted to get ready to go to the Air Force. That didn't happen, but I was on the phone with my best friend, just talking to her, walking on the treadmill, and I noticed that he kept staring at me from across the gym. So I was like, telling my friend, I'm like, this guy keeps staring at me. So if something happens, it's this dude. So I was kind of describing him to my friend, but well, I'll let you tell what happened next.
well, she was jogging on the treadmill, and at the time I was lifting weights, and as we were working out, I just kept looking at her. It was like a glow on her that night, and I kept. It was like Holy Spirit was telling me to get up and confront her and let her know that I was interested in getting to know her. And at the time, I was telling myself, Xavier, stay focused. You didn't come here for that. I had messed up a previous relationship in the past, and I said next time I got in a relationship, I was going to do it right. And I just was trying to get myself together, but me and the Holy Spirit were just going back and forth about it. And I had built up the courage to approach it. And I was nervous. I didn't know what to say. And I got
Yeah,
a number that night, and we went out on a date. And here we are today.
yeah. So, as he was approaching me, I kind of was like, I said in my head, I said, Lord, please don't let this man be coming towards me to talk to me. And he actually like turned around and went the other way, and I was like, whew. And so I could tell he was like having a mental battle because he didn't turn back around to talk to me. And that's when he approached me, and he was so sweet and just complimenting me. And I was literally looking a hot mess that night. I had a bandana on my head. I was there strictly trying to get fit so I could go to the Air Force. I even told my mom that night that I look a mess and I don't care because I'm not going to the gym to meet a man. Those are my literal words that night. So it's just so funny that I ended up meeting my husband the night that I said I'm not going to the gym to meet a man. I'm sure God was laughing when I said that. So initially, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, he's so sweet." He was just so humble and just so meek, and he was really nervous, and I thought that was super cute. He was almost kind of like a little timid when he was like, "Do I have your number right?" Because I did give him my number. I wasn't planning to give him my number, but like I said, he was just super sweet, so kind, and he was complimenting me. And words of affirmation is my love language, so he hit that out the park right away. And I wasn't feeling like I looked the best. So I feel like when somebody can approach you when you look a hot mess, this says a lot. So I just thought he was super sweet. So he was just like checking, make sure he got my number right. And I was like, yeah, it's right. So he actually called me the next day, which I was impressed with that he actually called and not text. So guys, don't forget, you're trying to get to know someone, pick up the phone and call her. So we went to Carrabba's, and he was late on the first date. And if you know Xavier at all, then you know there was foreshadowing of our life to come. So he was late. You want to tell them why you were late?
I was trying to get my car clean. I told one of my neighbors at the time that I was going out on a date, and he said, "Man, I got to wash your car. I got to make sure you're tight." So I told him go on and wash it, and I ended up being like 35 minutes late.
I don't know if it was that long. He was late significantly, and of course I had a little attitude because I'm like, you got me sitting in this restaurant waiting. But he kind of made up for it. Again, he was very nice, very approachable, and the thing that really kind of got me on the first date was that he went and washed his hands. And if you know me, you know that's important to me. So he made up for being late, but that's something we still working on. He was communicating with me and letting me know he was on the way. So that's why I waited. I wouldn't have waited if I didn't hear from him. I probably would just ordered me some food and just had a solo date because I like those too. But after we had the date, after we went to eat, we also went down to Harbor Town and kind of just walked and talked on the river. So that was my favorite part of the date.
it caught my attention. Just how smart and intelligent she is, how she carried herself. At the time, she was 20. I think she was 23, turning 23, and she was just so mature for her age. And I said I was very interested in just getting to know her. So she,
For
oh, what do you think?
yeah. Oh, for me, it's his kind heart. Like he is super kind. A lot of people see him and he does look, he looks tough. Like he's a tough guy. Don't get me wrong, but he has such a big heart and so kind. And he definitely has a heart for the less fortunate. If he sees somebody hungry, he gonna feed them. Like that's just who he is as a person. So I loved it about him. He really does care for people. Ooh, that's a good question.
Um, just making sure that we both make the decision before making plans, and respecting one another, and making sure that we show affection to each other. That was the main thing for me.
Yeah, I would say learning to fight a problem and not each other. And we learned it kind of early. Well, I ain't gonna say early. We learned it before we got married. To just really a lot of times when y'all are arguing or something's going wrong, you need to evaluate what's the problem and not like fight at each other. So once you learn it, tactic, I think that really does decrease the arguing, decrease, the stress and just being able to communicate with each other. I think it's a lot of listening. I think that's, really like just hearing each other because sometimes, somebody can be talking to you or your partner can be talking to you and you like in your phone and not really like soaking it up. So really just paying attention to each other. Sometimes it's like, hey, put the phone down. We telling each other, put the phone down so we can really talk. So just being honest. I think that's another thing that we do really well in our marriage. Like we're honest with each other, even if it's hard. So just being able to just be vulnerable, your partner, your husband, your spouse, your wife, that's the one person that you should be able to lay it all out there for. So just really being vulnerable and being transparent.
We support each other on everything that we support each other on our dreams, and that you've been doing that what since really since the beginning. Yeah, since the beginning, we always supported one another, and we always had been best friends since 2012. So let me see. When I was working in the first shop I was working in, I was very uncomfortable where I was, and she always tried to support me and lift me, saying, "You ought to open your own shop." She always was behind me, trying to push me to do better than what I was doing. Oh, and 2 weeks like 2 weeks of us dating, I decided to go to her church, and I ended up joining. And I told her I wanted to get baptized, so she was there to support me on that, and just so proud. And then when I started my hair care line, she was behind me 100%. Anything I'm doing, if I'm outside vendoring, she's the front and center with me, helping me sell products, and we're trying to strategize and take the thing to the next level. We're trying to turn it into a family business.
Yeah. I think for me, one moment that really stands out was when I was in nursing school. I couldn't work at the time, so that was really hard for me because I'm an independent woman. Okay. So that was tough for me, not being able to work and just really relying on support. I had saved money, but I ended up getting up having to pay for school out of pocket. So he was like financially supportive. Then I was involved in a really pretty traumatic car accident while I was in nursing school, and my paid off car was totaled out. And so I was devastated because I'm like, I don't have a job. I don't got no money. I need a car. Like, am I gonna be riding the bus to go to school? So there was like all the thoughts that was going through my head. And so he bought me a car. And they just it's not about the car, it's about making sure that I had what I needed. And like before every test, every test, this man prayed for me before I got out of the car, before I went to school. He prayed for me before every single test. So, that was like years into our relationship, but that was a big deal for me just knowing like his support was truly unwavering and like he stood 10 toes down for me during that difficult time. That's exhausting for one. I'm not the type of person. I'm not gonna remember everything about everybody. So I need one person that's gonna hold me down. But a God ordained marriage. So this important to us to follow God God's lead, and God blesses marriages. We can we feel that every day. So I think that it's important because there's nothing like having your person when you're going through whatever you're going through versus I gotta call this person, I gotta call that person, I gotta tell it. Like I'm gonna tell different people different parts of the story because I'm just not my memory don't work that way. I don't know if I told you this or that. So just being able to have my one person that I know gonna have my back through everything, that that is very important to me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I feel the same way she do. It feel good to just have that one person I can trust. Because I mean, talking to different people, you know, everybody don't have your best interest. Somebody could be in it to use you. So I love being able to share everything with her. Like I can trust her with $1 million. Like we always dreaming together, praying together, and I wouldn't trade that. I'd rather have her than talk to multiple people at a time. And going in the relationship, I had already decided that I was gonna, you know, take my time and do everything the right way this time. And she was everything about her just blew me away. So just the simple things of knowing her favorite dessert, her favorite color, everything about her I was so interested in. I just forgot the few friends that I had. I forgot everything they told me. So I said, let me stop talking to everybody and um, just give her all my time when I was off work, and it was the best choice I ever made. So it feel great. It feel great. All I can say, like during the time when we first started dating to now, man, I watched so many relationships fail, So I thank God every day, just knowing that what we have, is been as powerful as it has, and it's inspired a lot of people on the internet. Um, some people reach out to us and tell us how they love our love life. At the beginning, we had to figure some things out because I was buying gifts at certain times, and she was telling me to learn her love language. So we was having a conflict about that. But once you know, gifts is my love language. So once I started looking at it from her point of view, and it's like we grew, we got stronger from there.
Well, I think recognizing it, the internet only shows you what they want you to see. So even with our relationship, a lot of people feel like they really know us um, based on what we post. And I can say that, it is a true reflection of us, but people only give you what they want you to see, right? So I think that the people that know us in real life, they know that what they see on the internet is also who we are for real. Um, but I think a lot of times you just have to like lock in and just know like that's cute, but how you interact with each other in real life, that's what's gonna really sustain you. Like he can make posts about me all day, or I can make posts about him all day, but if we cussing each other out behind the screen, then that's not gonna work. So it's just important to like be genuine in your relationship and just recognize it. Even though you may say somebody's relationship goals, and people have said this to us too, what does their dynamic look like in real life? I think that's more important than what you see on social media. Ooh, where do we begin?
Tough things. Yeah.
um, I think we both lost loved ones, so we face grief together. And grief can show you a lot about a person. Xavier, neither one of us are really like criers too fast, but we both, we've seen each other cry. Like I said, being vulnerable with your spouse. We've dealt with difficult financial times and gotten through that. Um, we've gotten through like weird family dynamics, um, just weird relationships with people that you love. You want to add?
Things that we experience being married. Yeah, the more we've grown, we have had some of the closest people to turn on us, and especially not losing loved ones. The ups and downs, sometimes, you know, it's been times business gets slow. She support me. Times where she may been laid off or had to change jobs, just
Oh,
different things like that. We just prayed through them all and just and God. And that's when faith came in, and we let God cook. He been keeping us going.
health challenges, like we both had to deal with it throughout our marriage, and just you know taking care of each other. I think when you're going through some sickness like that, that's when you really see who you marry. Sickness ain't healthy. It shows up for real. I remember when we both had COVID. We didn't have it at the same time. It was like back to back. He had it first, and I was taking care of him and just catering to him and trying to make sure he was well. And then, of course, 3, 4 days later, it hit me, and I'm really sick. And he was just catering to me and taking care of me. And so I think that's the first time I really like I was like sick when I really like needed someone to like cater to me and take care of me in that way. And he really stepped up. And so I was really excited to see like, how he takes care of me when I can't take care of myself.
Well, when I met Ashley, I just started studying her. Actually, I took my time and I told a lot of my friends about her. I knew I was excited about her. She was working on a master's. I used to get off work and drive up to University of Memphis and just talk to her in the car. We'll find reasons to talk to one another. It's just the way she carried herself. I said, man, this is a real woman. And when I seen the relationship she had with God, I knew I was talking to God. I said, I see why you told me to get up and speak to her. Why you told me to approach her and everything about her. I compare her to like the people I knew at the time, and I said this seemed like this the better fit for me. And I was just crazy about her from the beginning. So I knew God was telling me she was the one. I even had people say, "Don't buy this." I was bought her edible range, and one of my coworkers at the time was like, "Man, it's too early for that. Don't buy that." But I bought it anyway because I felt she need. I felt I wanted to make her happy, and had family members saying I was doing too much, at certain times. So I knew the closer we got, people was trying to, tell me not to do certain things, and I was doing it from my heart. And I was just trusting God with the situation. And like for one thing, when I met Ashley at the time, I was looking at relationship as it was a bill at the moment because I was just trying to get myself together. And so when I knew that I was spending a lot of time with her, I knew she had to be the one. I invest all that, just invest everything into what we had going. And just we was working on our careers at the time. And we kind of we grew together. We grew together at the beginning. Like we was always talking about finances and goals. We always was doing kind of some married things from the beginning. And so I knew all along that she was the one, and I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Man, trust your heart. Listen to the Holy Spirit. Let him guide you. You know, you can tell if a person taking advantage of you or not. Everything about her she seemed like an honest person. I kept my eyes open though. I'm not a green guy, so I trust God and I kept my eyes open and I let him lead me. So I would tell every man just trust your gut, watch them, study them, and if you feel you need to invest in them, do so. Don't listen to other people because I had a lot of people telling me what not to do, and if it was them, they wouldn't do this, and it's too many women out there. Um, I had one guy that was a friend of mine. He said, "Man, she a good girl, man. You ain't ready for this." That's my dog. He just knew I was a little player at the time. He was like, "Let her go on about her business, man." I said, "No, I'm gonna sit my butt down." So I did, and she's my wife today.
Yeah. So initially, I was a little bit overwhelmed, and I had a conversation with my mom, and she was like, "But this is what you prayed for," and I was overwhelmed in a good way because it felt like everything that I had wanted, and so a lot of times we kind of run away from it. It's like, hold up, it's coming too fast. Wait, 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 Lord. But we have to be ready for what we're praying for. So um I just had to like, you know, give myself time to ease into it because I realized I'm like, oh, okay, this is a grown man. He's about his business. And I just felt safe with him, and not just physically, but like emotionally safe. And I feel like I could let my guard down with him, and he listened to me and respect me. Like when he said he was studying me, I knew that he was studying me because it's like simple things he would notice that was different. And I mean, like I had changed the little earrings in my second hole, and he noticed it. And I'm like, you paying attention to stuff like that? So it was just like little details about me that he paid attention to. And so I knew that I was special to him. And the way that he showed me that he was pursuing me, that made me, gravitate to him even more and just trust him even more because I knew that he was focusing a lot of his attention on me. So that made me want to just trust him and just see where things went. Hmm, that's a good one. For me, I think being led by God is like the most important thing because he's talked a lot about how the Holy Spirit led him. If you ain't following, if you ain't following God, how can you lead me? You know, because everybody want to be a ride or die, but what GPS he using? Like who guided his steps? So I think being led by God is like first and foremost. And then of course everybody you want to be protected, but when we think about protection, we need to think about it beyond just keeping me physically safe. But is this man keeping you emotionally safe, keeping you mentally safe? Like Xavier, he don't play about me. Everybody who know us know that. It don't matter who you are, no exceptions. No, nobody's exempt. Like he gonna stand 10 toes down for me. And I talked about him having like such a gentle, kind heart. And that's so true. But when it come to me, he gonna step every time. So, you know, just making like he never put me in a position where I gotta argue with other women about that's my man. I've never had to argue with another woman. Like that's just not who I am anyway. But he's never put me in a position where I gotta fight for him. Um, Fighting for your marriage is something different, but I've never had to fight for him as my man. Like I ain't arguing with other people. It's just peace. I'm very I'm very strict on having peace. And I told him early in our relationship, like, peace is my priority. I had this saying, peace over everybody, like, no exceptions. And I told him early on, like, that includes you. Like, if you disrupted my peace, it ain't gonna work. So, having peace, having protection, being led by God, being respectful because even when you get mad at each other, like how do you argue? Like are you hitting below the belt? Like you can't do that. You got to be respectful even in arguments. And when we were going through marriage counseling, the marriage counselor told us when love is not enough, let respect be your guide. And that's something that really really stood out to me because love is very important, but love is not enough to sustain a marriage. You got to have so much more. You got to have discipline. You got to have respect. You got to have um, what else you got to have to sustain a marriage? Communication. It's a lot. Making sacrifices is what kind of lets you know is this person down for me or not. Because it's easy to just go along for the fun, but then when you got to start giving up something, or you got to start compromising, or you have to, you know, put that person needs above your own, that's when you really see whether or not it's gonna work or it could potentially work.
Yeah, we sacrificed some things for sure. There was a time where when Ashley was in nursing school, I was focused on buying a commercial property, and I really wanted that building. And so during the time of me trying, when we was trying to close on the building, Ashley, her student loans, she had, would you exhaust the student loans? So we had to start paying out of pocket for her nursing school. So we had to put the shop on hold to get her through school. And I prayed about it, and God told me to do that. And that's what we did to make sure she stayed in school and finished. And now we're working on getting that commercial building now. So I'm just doing it as a married couple now. That was one of the big sacrifices I made, and since we've been together.
Yeah, I think for me, I invested in his business early on. So, just being able to, you know, be there to pour into each other. We have invested into each other in different phases in our marriage, even in our relationship before we even got married, when we were engaged. He bought me, like I said, he bought me a car. I invested in his business. And then we sacrifice a lot of time. He works a lot. So he works on Saturdays, so I can't really plan anything for us on Saturdays. So for me, that's a sacrifice because a lot of times I want him to do stuff for me on Saturdays, and I just know he can't do it because he's working. So we've made Sundays our day. So just making compromises and doing what you need to do that works for your relationship. Just kind of figure it out. And even with his business growing now, his product line, we've both like stayed up late night coming up with formulas and testing out products and shipping off products. So just really like committed to helping each other grow individually and as a marriage.
I would say pray together first. And if you need to get counseling or a mentor, I say to go out and talk. Don't be afraid to talk to people that's been through those situations, and um, like I said, get counseling, therapy. Give it all you got before you just throw it away. Because once if you got somebody that truly love you, I think it's worth you giving it your all before y'all walk away from one another.
So for some, I'm glad he spoke on it from like people that are in a relationship. I'll speak on it for someone who's not. So for people who are single, I would say, don't give up hope. I know that that's easy to say for somebody who's in a happy marriage, but just share with God the desires of your heart and know that there's nothing that's impossible for God. Tell him exactly what you want. Pray about exactly what you want. And a lot of times he's gonna give you even much better than you had hoped for. But, just don't give up. And also enjoy your time. Like enjoy spending time with yourself. A lot of people don't like going on dates by themselves. Like go on dates by yourself. I still go on dates, solo dates now that I'm married. So enjoy like yourself, enjoy developing yourself. And if you are already like there, just continue to like foster other relationships, connection with friends, connection with whoever is in your circle, and just really enjoy your life until your person finds you or you find them. Late. That's the first word that comes to mind. Like everybody, I'm sorry, everybody that knows Xavier, they know this about him. Like, and it is one of our, when we argue, we arguing about time. Like, I promise you, this probably like one of the only things we argue about because I like to be on time for things. That's not high on his values list. So, I think that even with that, you have to learn workarounds, right? So I know that my husband gonna be late. So what do I do? I tell him some starts an hour and a half. Like I kind of can figure out like the time frame that I need to adjust. Um, I actually was like fussing because I thought we was gonna be late for this, but we made it on time. But just learning a workaround. So if we somewhere that's like super important, we need to be there on time. I might tell him it starts at 3 when it really starts at 5. Just you gotta know your partner.
I would say busy. He's always busy. Um, Even when she was like, she'll get off work. Every time I look around, she's in a meeting. It can be AKA meeting. She's on the board for, for two different with a national board and a local board, and even she'll be in the Bible studies meeting. It's always something. And and also she may be volunteering. She's with the what's the name of the group? Uh,
Radical.
no, the
Oh, the junior league.
junior league. But before that, she'll volunteer and get in something else. So yeah, I say she busy is one thing. So we try to make sure we find time on Sundays to spend most of our time together. So because the rest of the week she's on the phone doing something.